møder til Gelu Sulugiuc, som er founder eller stifter af PLX AI og Director hos Thomson Reuters. Og han vil fortælle om Reuters arbejde med at integrere den her danskskabte nyhedsplatform, som hedder PLX AI, som Reuters købte for nyligt for et betydeligt, men ikke offentliggjort millionbeløb sidste år. Velkommen.
Thank you. Looks like I'll be the only one speaking in English today, so sorry about that. Thanks for having me. So we started PLX with my partner Nikolai to create the world's fastest financial news service. We did that, and now we're part of Thomson Reuters. So we deliver automated financial news to professional clients, and our service is powered by AI. We serve Reuters clients, obviously, and we compete with global news agencies like Bloomberg and Dow Jones, or local players like MarketWire here in Denmark, for example. And with this type of financial journalism, two things are most important: speed and accuracy. And so we use machine learning and natural language processing to automatically make news judgment on various content that companies all around the world are sending out in the form of maybe press releases or stock exchange statements or other type of regulatory disclosures. So we use that automated news judgment, and then we automatically extract the interesting information that our clients need. And we build then automatically these flash headlines, like you see in this example, or little summary stories that then we send automatically. So to kind of give you an idea of the volume that we're talking about, this year we are sending automatically about 95,000 flash alerts. So these headlines. In November alone, we sent 20,000 headlines. On news pertaining to more than 7,500 companies worldwide. And in this space, we can recognize 7 types of different company news, and for each of them we can send 125 types of different metrics that can become headlines. Who are our readers? Our readers are professional traders, investors, analysts, people like that, or just any subscriber to Reuters News, basically. But what we don't publish is almost as important as what we do publish, because in this space there is a ton of content, and a lot of it, maybe most of it, is not newsworthy. This is just a random screenshot I took the other day of a period of only 300 milliseconds at 1 o'clock Danish time. And at that time, in those 300 milliseconds, 17 different companies in the United States sent a press release out. And so journalists have to sit there and decide, is there news in here? And if there is, go through the whole process of transforming a press release into filtered news that can be sent then to their clients. And so this is the problem that financial journalists face. There's an avalanche of information, and in the past, the way companies or news organizations solved this problem was to just hire a lot of people and just have them, frankly, have boring jobs that entail just sitting at a screen and waiting for stuff like this to happen, and then try as best as they can to quickly find the news and send it out. And what that leads to is obviously latency. It's just impossible to do it fast, and a high error rate, because there's a lot of pressure to be fast, and then so it's going to lead to mistakes. Even organizations that focus on smaller areas still have to have a lot of journalists doing these sort of, in many ways, thankless jobs to create what actually is the bread and butter of financial news. So, as I said just a second ago, that old way of doing things can lead to a lot of delays in the news reaching the actual end user, the consumer, the reader. This used to be a very common occurrence. Company makes a press release, maybe things are much better than expected, so they have to tell the market. Somebody has to notice that manually, look at it, write something, push the button. By the time the news report is out, the shares of that company have already moved because a human just cannot do it fast enough. So then what we wanted to do is build a system that on average takes 200 milliseconds from the moment that we find some news that we deem, or the system deems, newsworthy until the actual headlines are published that are pertaining to that news event. At the same time, so on average, it's happening in 200 milliseconds. And in this case, we've got 5 headlines from Ericsson. And also, on average, for the entire 95,000 alerts that we're sending this year, the error rate is only 0.5%. The error rate is never going to be 0. It's impossible to build something that will be 100% foolproof. But at 0.5%, it actually is several times better than the human performance that we used to have before. So obviously, it gives our readers at Reuters an edge compared to the competition, but it also frees our journalists to do more than just spend hours and hours staring at screens and trying to wait for news to come to them. They can focus on added value. Maybe from the same press release that the AI has extracted some of these headlines, they can read with a little bit more calm because they don't need to react immediately and find that extra nugget that is actually still important, but maybe it's not something that can be generalized by an AI system. Or maybe they can go out and work more on initiative stories because they don't have to watch a screen 8 hours a day. Just to give you an idea, before the acquisition, we were covering 1,000 companies with our small company. And at that time, we only had 1 journalist on watch at any one time for 1,000 companies coverage. Now we've gone from 1,000 to 7,500. Obviously, we have a bigger team at Reuters, but just so you can see how that's possible because the vast majority of the news decisions are made by algorithms, initially at least, not by people. So another advantage of having this AI system that's based on machine learning and natural language processing is that we don't depend on companies to write press releases a certain way for us to understand it. That was the old way of doing some of the first financial news automation that was built by various competitors. In the early days, it depended on companies reporting something exactly the same way time after time. And then if you knew when they would say something and if you knew how they would say it, you could have a template and then repeat a little bit what they said. But that fails quite often, and it especially fails when a company does something surprising. Like Novo Nordisk, several times in recent times, as you all know, they've had a lot of success with their obesity drugs, so they constantly have to increase their forecasts. Whenever they do that, we still understand their text. It doesn't matter what they say. We can still provide clients the flash alert at the same time as Novo Nordisk makes this announcement. So we usually are almost always alone with this type of unexpected news because of the system that we run. We also, we automate both alerts, but also the follow-up summaries. So we can, because we do that, that means that especially for some smaller companies, we basically remove the human completely from the loop. There's never anyone writing a story for some of the smaller companies. The AI writes the headlines, it writes a little bit of a summary, and it's all out. And then for those few clients who care about those small companies, they have exactly the content that they need. At the same time, we have the ability for some of the bigger companies to say, well, for some companies, we're going to want the AI to put some of the content in the summary, and maybe we will wait for the human journalist to add some more, maybe some more color, maybe some whatever content that a specialist journalist thinks or knows might be important for specific readers. So we have the ability to decide that in advance if we want summaries to be 100% automated or if we want some human involvement. The technology comes with an intuitive visualization tool. Somebody else was talking about earlier about the black box and the white box. It's not a full white box, but we're trying to give a non-expert a little bit of an insight on, well, how does the model work on a certain press release. And that's what's allowing us to expand very quickly to cover so many different regions and so many different countries with using non-experts to go in and say, okay, can this model that works very well in Europe and America, does it work in Australia? Let's go take a look. We can put in any press release or any text really and give it to the model and say, all right, what news are you finding here? And then we can see if it's correct or incorrect. And then based on that, we can scale. And that's how we were able to scale from 1,000 companies a year ago to 7,500 right now. And we're planning to double it again to next year to 16,000 companies. And that's also the reason why we're able to scale so much and cover things that maybe a lot of people care about, like Tesla, and things that maybe not too many people care about, like a small Danish company. And so we're able to serve readers at both of these ends, and at the same time actually expand the coverage in the small cap space, so in the space where there's very small companies, in a place like the Nordics, for example, which has a lot of small companies that some people care about, but for a big news organization, it's difficult to cover 100% using actual human journalists. Now, a bit of just a little word of caution. You know, AI for news extraction is great, and it's been great for us. It's allowed us to offer fast and comprehensive coverage over a wide area of regions and different formats and different countries and different companies. But for me, to publish something automatically, you must be 100% sure of the source of the underlying information that you're looking at. Here is an example from actually only a week or two ago of a hoax. There are a lot of people out there who are trying to pull a hoax on news organizations, because if they manage to succeed and the news organization gives credence to a false piece of information, then the stock price moves and they are able to profit on that. Obviously, it's illegal, but they try all the time. And in this case, they succeeded, not with us, but with others. Somebody pretended to be a company that wanted to supposedly buy shares in WeWork, a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy and eventually ended up bankrupt. At the time, WeWork was trading for $1 a share. They claimed that they were buying them for $9 a share. We knew this didn't come from WeWork, so our systems didn't do anything with it. But others made mistakes, and you can see that's the actual graph at that time when this press release was released. Well, this hoax press release was given into the public space, and the shares of WeWork jumped briefly because people repeated this. They thought that this was true. They thought that someone was actually buying WeWork. So someone made money there. Whether the authorities will find out who it is or not, we don't know. But this is something that you have to be, very, very careful with. You need to know where the information comes from before you run an AI model and then either summarize it or send headlines from it. And with that said, we're still scaling very fast. I mentioned we were going to double to 16,000 companies. We're going into all these different countries, from New Zealand to Taiwan to Canada. We have the ability to do automated translation, so our output doesn't have to be only in English. It can be in almost any number of languages. And we're working on automating different types of business news, like drug trial results, or maybe insider trading, or share rights issues when companies sell more of their shares. And there's also possibilities that we're investigating on doing more complex automated stories, just taking those summaries that I showed earlier to an even deeper level, maybe involving things like CEO quotes and having systems that will understand, is this quote actually newsworthy or just something where the CEO says, I'm very happy with the results. We would want the first one, not the second one. So the possibilities are very exciting. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you PLX AI. And for the last, hvorfor taler jeg engelsk? Det var, vi tager den lige på dansk, altså fordi I kan jo godt